the Fabulous FRI-YAY broadcast of Miss Hope's Reading Hour. So glad to be here with you all this afternoon, this evening. Well, my friends, hopefully you have had a great week and you found something to be thankful for on Thankful Thursday. What was I thankful for? Oh, I was thankful that I got to spend time with some of my friends. We talked and we laughed and we were silly and we stayed out late because, the adult friends can do that, okay? You might be able to stay over your friends' houses late if your moms and dads, grandmothers and grandfathers, aunts and uncles say that it's okay. But I got to do that yesterday, so I was thankful for that. Well, let's talk about Wonderful Wednesday. It did not turn out to be quite so wonderful, okay? Because we were outside in the nice breeze and the air and the grass and the trees, and possibly because it was so cloudy out there, there were parts of the sky that were really open and blue, but there were a lot of around the outskirts of the blue. There were some heavy looking clouds, and I was like, oh, am I gonna have to go in because it's like super windy out here? And I guess because of the weather conditions, unfortunately, the signal did not go through well. So everything that I thought was recording for Wonderful Wednesday did not record. It just looked like a still image of me and then just like a black screen with the swirling. And that was it. So unfortunately, we did not get to hear the stories on the Wonderful Wednesday broadcast, but we are in luck because it's Fabulous FRI-YAY. So we can go back, and I have the books right here that we were supposed to read. So we are going to read those books today. Just so you know, today's broadcast will be a little abbreviated, okay? Meaning that it will be a little shorter, but we will still get to all of the books, my friends, just like we did on Wonderful Wednesday, okay? So let us get to the books right now. On Wonderful Wednesday, what we were going to talk about in the books were basically paying attention to the moment that you're in. Because sometimes, even during the summer, if you think about holidays like the 4th of July and Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff like that, family reunions, there's so many things going on that sometimes, even in everyday life, we don't take a moment to just sit and soak in the moment that we're in. So then when you go back to it and you try to remember what happened, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Well, what all did happen? Who was there? What did we eat? Where did we go? And then it's hard to remember because you were in the moment and doing everything right at that moment. But sometimes, every now and then, especially like when you're outside or you're at the beach or even when you're with your family, just take a moment and look around. Notice how everybody's laughing and having fun, how happy everyone is, and how that makes you feel, right? So sometimes it's good to do things like that, to just kind of take a moment, slow down, sit down, and take it all in. So that is what our first two books are about today. And we'll go back a chapter. It's a lot going on with them unteachables, okay? So let me show you the books that we are reading today. This one, I already took the dust jacket off of. I never put it back on from Wonderful Wednesday, but it's still a good book. So the first book is called Here and Now. Here and Now. I like this cover, it's really cute. The words are by Julia Danos, illustrated by E.B. Goodale. Here and Now. Our next book is called A Moment in Time. This book is by Jennifer Boutenas, illustrated by Charlotte Chen. A Moment in Time. And of course, my friends, we're going back. I have no problem going back because the last chapter was good and I was sad that we missed it, okay? We're almost done. The Unteachables by Gordon Corman, okay? As you can see, this is all we got, okay? After today, this is all we have. So we might finish this on Marvelous Monday, okay? But we'll see. We will see, okay? Let us get to our first book, Here and Now, by Julia Danos. This is how it looks outside of the dust jacket. Hands on either side of the book as if they are opening it. I thought that was pretty cool. You'll see why when I start reading it. And this is a Houghton Mifflin Harcourt book. Right here, right now, we are reading this book. This book is in your lap, or in your hands, or in someone else's. That's true. Wait a minute, let me see something really fast. Yep. Hopefully you got to hear all of that. I had to switch the microphone. So hopefully you heard the first parts of that book. Let's continue. You are sitting, or you are standing, or you are wrapped up in bed. All good ways to read a book. Under your bum, under your feet, is a seat, a floor. What's under your bum or under your feet or under your seat? You could be sitting in the grass like I was yesterday. Or a cloud if you're on an airplane. And under all those things is the earth, the grass and the dirt, the earthworms and the fossils and the rocks. Think about that the next time you're in the park or in your yard. And the earth is spinning in the middle of space. We don't know why, but it is. And you are too. Because we're on this great big planet called Earth. Right here, right now, while you are reading this book, many, many things are happening. Rain is forming in the belly of a cloud. An ant has finished its home on the other side of the planet. Somewhere, a telephone is ringing. An idea is blooming. I wonder how many ideas are blooming right now. Grass is pushing up through the cement. Happens in a lot of places. A friend you haven't met yet is sitting down to dinner. I'm excited to find out who that friend is. They'll probably be an awesome friend. Let me turn that down. Just a second, you guys. There are animals, wild ones and tame, living and breathing all around you. Even ones you can't see. Even if you live in a city, there's still animals around. Sometimes you just can't see them. Muscles are growing. Cities are growing. Babies are growing. Cuts and broken bones are sewing up and healing. All of that is happening while we are right here, right now. Unseen work is being done. In my opinion, a hug is one of the best pieces of work that can get done. Right here, right now, you are becoming. Isn't it wonderful? The end. Wow. This, as I said yesterday, when unfortunately you guys didn't get to hear it, this is an unusual book. It's kind of like it takes you on a journey of just sitting down and thinking and observing and being conscious of where you are, what's happening around you, and considering what could be happening somewhere else. Is someone else online right now reading an awesome story? I wonder. Are they enjoying each other's company like we're enjoying each other's company? Could be. What culture are they in? What country? Are they the same age as me? Are they the same age as you? My favorite page in the book is Unseen Work is Being Done, where they were hugging each other. And you never know what kind of work a hug does. A hug says that someone loves you or cares about you. It can comfort you when you're sad. It can make you excited when you see someone that you haven't seen in a long time. That's unseen work. Very important work that's done, mind you. So, in those moments when you're doing a lot of stuff, or you're at a family function, or you're on a vacation, sometimes taking those moments to just kind of sit and notice everything that's happening around you, and taking that time every now and then to do that unseen work of loving each other, because that doesn't always need to be seen or said. Just being with each other in a hug or holding a hand or something like that. That unseen work of just knowing someone cares is being done. Oh, I love that book. So glad I got to read it with you. All right, our next book, A Moment in Time by Jennifer Boutenas, illustrated by Charlotte Cheng. Ooh, too many pages. Who's the publisher of this book? Oh, this is a The Perfect Moment LLC book. Never heard of this publisher. We'll see if they have some other books next time I go from a shipment, because we running low on books. Just to put that bug in your ear, okay? A moment in time. Once upon a time, there was a family of 4 rocking on their rockers outside their front door. Now that's the type of relaxing I'm talking about. They look super comfortable. The porch floor creaked, the rocker swayed. Beneath the glorious sky, 'twas a dazzling day. Now here in Philadelphia, it's a little overcast because it's been raining. But in a few days, it'll be dazzling just like that. Then the youngest boy stopped his rocking chair. He stood up and he said, while ruffling his hair, "My throat's kinda dry, and man, it's hot. So I'm going in for a cold soda pop." Oh, that sounds good. One of the best things in the summertime, lemonade and ice cold soda. He leaped and he hooted, he marched high and bold, looking for a can of soda, freezing cold. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He walked into the house with a flip and a flop, grabbed a can from the fridge, and left with a hop. Of course he left with a hop. In the summertime, when you get that frosty, cold can of soda from the fridge, you're like, oh, this is gonna be tasty. Back to his rocker, he made a beeline, sipping on his sugar and feeling so fine. He wiped all the sticky from his mouth with his hand, and he rocked as if listening to a slow, easy band. It was a sugary, boogery, thirst-quenching moment in time. "Whoa!" said the older boy, coming to a halt. "That soda's gonna make you do a double somersault." Well, it could. It's a lot of sugar. It's tasty. It's a lot of sugar. With a huge blast of might and a mischievous glance, he jumped off the porch. What did he do that for? Let's find out. And started to dance. He hipped to the right and he shook to the left. Those cool dance moves were his best ones yet. As bright as sunshine, smile wide as the sea, this boy had rhythm and immense energy. Look at this guy. No shoes in the grass. With a twirl and a swirl looking up to the sky, he danced with style, thrusting fists up high. He's like, "You want a soda?" And I feel like dancing. Till he got out of breath, shimmying wildly in place. Then he bopped back to his rocker at a slow, easy pace. With his head tilted back and his shades in place, this boy was cool, a fine-looking ace. It was a shockin' and a rockin' Silly Manilly Moments in Time. That's the way, said the dad, rocking real slow, comfortable and calm, just moving with the flow. The warm sun shone on his calm, cool face. He was quiet and peaceful as he stopped in place. His brow was smooth as he listened to the breeze. He was so relaxed that he couldn't even sneeze. His eyes were closed and his breathing slow. His muscles were resting from his head to his toe. It was a lazy, manazy, snoring morning moment in time. He knew how to relax. What a great picture, said Mom with glee. She stood up with her camera, putting down her iced tea. That's some pretty refreshing looking iced tea, if I say so myself. She glided off the porch and looked back at her clan, the youngest thinking soda, the other rocking to his band. Dad was asleep, snoring heavy and fine. Mommy said, "Smile." Click. And caught a moment in time. Oh, I didn't notice that. Look at the other page. A moment in time with the family she has now and the family they're gonna have in the future, a baby. Oh, that's so awesome. See, just now it happened. When you take time and you slow down, you notice things that you didn't notice before. I did not notice that last page. I noticed the words yesterday, but I didn't notice the picture of the new baby with the stork. They were expecting another baby. That is so awesome. Oh, I love this book because we all have phones in our hands all the time. And what do we do but snap pictures all the time, okay? But I think sometimes we need to get those pictures printed so that you can take time to take them out, look at them, and in those moments where it's a lot going on and you can't remember everything that happened, you can remember those moments in time. That's what a picture is. It is the representation of one moment in time that can help you remember so many different things. Look at the beginning of the book, all of these pictures with her family. Moments in time. Moments in time. That's one thing I want to start doing more, is taking more pictures of my family and my friends and all of the things I want to remember so that I can remember those moments in time. So glad I got to read that book with you all. And I'm so glad that I was able to slow down and pay attention to the here and now wink to the book we just read. And notice that last page. That was so special. So glad I got to share it with you. All right, friends. You know where we are now. We got to switch the ambiance, friends, and get into these unteachables. So, where we are is the last chapter. I gotta go back because you know. Okay. Mr. Kermit has been fired because the school finally found out that Kiana Rubini was not a part of SCS 8, even though she aced the test. Her score does not count. And old mean Superintendent Dr. Thaddeus has used all of his tricks to fire Mr. Kermit. But the students don't know yet. They do not know. So we're trying to figure out, I really want to know, what are they going to do when they find out? There we are at chapter 27, Kiana Rubini, The Unteachables by Mr. Gordon Corman. The first day I'm officially a student in Mr. Kermit's class. Mr. Kermit doesn't even show up. It doesn't bother us at first. It reminds me of the beginning of the year when Ribbit was late every day. It takes a long time to fill a coffee cup the size of a bathtub. I guess we get a little loud, but when Miss Fountain sticks her head into the room, we quiet down in a hurry. She's frowning. Where's Mr. Kermit? We stare back at her blankly. How should we know? We listen to her high heels clicking urgently down the hall. Do you think we're getting a sub? Asked Raheem. Please don't let it be Dawn of the Dead, Barnstorm groans. 10 minutes later, we hear running footsteps in the corridor, and Jake Terranova bursts into room 117. Hi guys, sorry I'm late. Mr. Kermit can't make it today. Are you our sub? Parker asks. Not exactly, he tells us, but since you're coming to the dealership later anyway, Miss Fountain, why bring in a substitute for just a couple hours? Is that legal? Mateo inquires. Technically, Miss Fountain is covering both classes. Think of me as an assistant, a volunteer. Is Mr. Kermit sick? Raheem asks. Nah, he shrugs this off. Not really. He might be upset a little. I jump on that. Upset about what? Jake is flustered. There's obviously something going on that we're not supposed to know about, and Jake has the kind of face that can't hide secrets. When you're a boss of a giant car dealership, you don't have to answer questions from your employees because what you say goes. But that doesn't work with a bunch of kids. It's the science test, isn't it? Aldo says belligerently. I flunked and now Ribbit won't come to school. Barnstorm cackles. If that's how it went, you'd have been in an empty classroom your whole life. Is that it? Elaine rumbles. Did we fail the test? The babble of agitated voices grows louder until Jake waves his arm for quiet. He perches on the edge of the teacher's desk and motions us close. Okay, I'll tell you, but you have to promise not to say anything to her. He motions over his shoulder in the direction of Miss Fountain's room. What he reveals turns our blood to ice. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. My phone is ringing. I forgot it was in here. I will be right back. I apologize. Real life happening here, friends. I'm sorry. I forgot the phone was in here. Anywho, let's get back to it. What he reveals turns our blood to ice. Dr. Thaddeus, superintendent of the whole school district, has been out to get Mr. Kermit all year. He's found a way to use our scores on the state science assessment to get Ribbit declared incompetent. He'll be out of a job by the end of this term. I knew it, Aldo rages. We flunked the test. You didn't, Jake insists. None of you did. It's a numbers game. If you fiddle with them enough, you can get them to say anything. It's no game, I say bitterly. It's our teacher, and he's getting fired for no reason. Who does that guy Thaddeus think he is? Barnstorm growls. He's like Voldemort and Darth Vader rolled into one, Mateo adds. Miss Fountain appears in the doorway. Since Mr. Kermit is absent, I thought it would be nice if both classes shared circle time today. She picked the worst possible time for that invitation. Circle time, when our teacher is getting shafted. A chorus of protest begins in our throats, one that Jake silences by raising one warning finger. Circle time sounds great, Miss Fountain. Jake accepts on our behalf. We'll be right there. Circle time sounds... Oh, I'm sorry. It's the last thing we're in the mood for. How can the superintendent be so mean? Why would he even want to? Maybe Mr. Kermit was a lousy teacher back in the crossword puzzle era, but now he's the greatest. As we grumble and seethe our way next door to room 115, I sidle up to Jake. How can this be? I ask in distress. I know I got a 96, and if everybody else passed, that shouldn't add up to a failure no matter how much you crunch the numbers. He looks at me sympathetically. You have to understand, Kiana, you weren't a registered student on test day, so the 96 doesn't count. I stumble into Miss Fountain's classroom, my mind a pinwheel. The news of the past few minutes has been a bomb blast, but this might be even worse. Our teacher is being fired, and for sure it's the superintendent's fault. It's the school's fault for not supporting Mr. Kermit. And it might even be a little bit Jake's fault for that cheating scandal so long ago. But mostly, it's my fault. If I was properly registered, Dr. Thaddeus would have to count my score. But no, I was a short timer. This hick town and hick school had nothing to teach me. I was just passing through. What difference did it make what happened here? Well, it's making a pretty big difference now. By the time we take our seats on the floor around the circle, I feel like my head is about to explode. A nervous murmur comes from Miss Fountain's students. They can sense the emotional upset coming from the seven of us. Vladimir is beeping like a robot in one of Mateo's sci-fi movies, and Aldo is too wound up to respond to his reptilian friend. Miss Fountain addresses the group. Who would like to be first to contribute to our circle? It comes pouring out of me. It isn't Mr. Kermit's fault that I was never registered, and now he's getting fired, and it isn't fair. I've got more to say, a lot more, but my words trigger Aldo, who bursts out, I hated all teachers until Ribbit came along, and teachers hated me, but then everyone thought I was weird before Mr. Kermit's class, Mateo blurts over him. Like I was an android in a human world. Ribbit's the only person who notices that I'm good at what I'm good at instead of just what I'm bad at, Raheem adds to the clamor. I used to be stupid before Mr. Kermit, barks Parker. Nobody ever tried to get me any help. This school only cared about me when I scored touchdowns, Barnstorm blusters, but Ribbit's better than that. Uh-oh. What is happening? Let's see. Goodness gracious. Now my computer's saying that it's dying. Just a second. There we go. Even strong, silent Elaine speaks up in her deep voice. I never had any friends until this year. We're all talking at the same time, hollering to make ourselves heard. The seventh graders are really nervous. Vladimir is running crazed loops in his cage because Aldo is so upset. He's yelling louder than any of us, his red hair practically defying gravity. Miss Fountain is trying to restore order, but no one is paying her any attention. Finally, she inserts both index fingers into her mouth and unleashes an ear-splitting whistle that threatens to have plaster raining down on us from the ceiling. It isn't very circle time, but it gets the job done. Silence falls and we stare at the young teacher in awe. How did such a large noise come from such a small person? "Thank you," she says, her quiet self again. "Now, where did you kids hear that Mr. Kermit wouldn't be back after the end of the term?" Nobody answers, but we all look over in Jake's direction. Miss Fountain glares at him. He shrugs helplessly. It just slipped out. Miss Fountain takes a deep breath. "Mr. Terranova, please stay with my group while I take Mr. Kermit's students back to their own room. We've had enough circle time for today." She sweeps us back to room 117. This is so unfair. I'm still shaking with anger. How can they do this to Mr. Kermit? How can they do it to us? Miss Fountain tries to be sympathetic and reasonable. At the same time, "I agree with you, Kiana. It's very upsetting, but there's nothing we can do about it. Even Principal Vargas. This is above her level too. It comes straight from the district office. Parker is bitter. Mr. Kermit helped every single one of us. And what can we do to help him back? A big fat zero." Something stirs in the back of my head. Something I heard a long time ago. Something Miss Fountain said. Then I have it. The science fair! "What about it?" Barnstorm groans. "Haven't we had enough science for one lifetime?" I turn to Miss Fountain. "Remember on the bus ride to Terranova Motors when you tried to convince Mr. Kermit to have us enter the science fair?" She looks annoyed. "That was supposed to be a private conversation?" "Well, I heard it. You told him the winning team gets 10 points added to all their scores on the science assessment. Would that be enough to put us over the top and save Mr. Kermit's job?" Suddenly, all eyes were on Miss Fountain, waiting for her answer. "I'm sure it would," she said finally, "but remember, Mr. Kermit's answer was no to the science fair." "Yeah, but that was before he got canned," Barnstorm reasons. "That changes everything, right?" She shakes her head. "Mr. Kermit is a very private person. He wouldn't want you to take his personal problems onto yourselves." "What if we don't tell him about it?" Raheem muses. "Be serious," Miss Fountain insists. "He's still your teacher until the end of the term. How can you expect to do a science fair project and keep it a secret from him?" "Terranova Motors!" I exclaim. "I bet Jake will let us work on it there. Miss Fountain, we can do this. I know we can." By now, the others are grouped around me, and we're confronting Miss Fountain as if daring her to say no. "Entering doesn't mean you're going to win," she reminds us. "But not entering means we lose for sure," Mateo counters. "It'll be a long shot," the teacher warns. "You don't even have a topic yet, and the other groups have already been working for weeks." "So it's a yes?" I prompt. The cheer that erupts when Miss Fountain nods is loud enough to bring Jake running from the next room. He loves the idea and pledges to do everything he can to help us, courtesy of the dealership. Rule number 1, which Mateo calls the prime directive: Mr. Kermit is not allowed to know about our project. If he finds out, the deal is off. So they're gonna go into the science fair. Okay. All right, friends. We're gonna have to end there for today. we will find out what happens on our Marvelous Monday broadcast, okay? At the end of these books, there's always some kind of cliffhanger, and here we are. I knew they were going to do something. I knew it. I knew they were not going to let this go. Well, my friends, I am so glad that I got to do this redo, this do-over of Wonderful Wednesday with you all, and it turned out to be a fabulous Fri-Yay because I got to do it, okay? Well, I hope that you have an awesome weekend, a great rest of your fabulous Fri-Yay, and that you take some time this week to be in the here and now and to take advantage of those moments in time and just pay attention to what's going on around you. Take it in and make time to do that unseen work. Because a hug doesn't look like work. Holding a hand and squeezing it doesn't look like work. Oh, but it's work. It helps people know that they are loved and cared for by you. And then they can return the favor right on back. Until then, until Marvelous Monday, my friends, make sure that you take some time to do that unseen work with your family and your friends. Have a great weekend. And I will see you on Monday right back here on Miss Hope's Reading Hour. Until then, my friends, I will see you next time.